Hey everyone. Around 3 years ago, I had a couple of classical soloists come to my recording class, and we experimented around with recording them using multiple microphone perspectives. The main goal of this lesson is to show how, by combining different microphone perspectives set up at different distances from the performer, you could create a beautifully detailed recording that also captures a sense of depth and width. The two musicians were a classical guitarist and a classical cellist. For the classical guitarist, we used a mid-side configuration with two AKG 414 microphones, and then we supplemented that with a couple of other different microphone positions. And for the cellist, we used a Blumlein configuration, again using the AKG 414, and also supplemented by a couple of other different perspectives. We'll take a look at all of these inside of a Pro Tools session, and hopefully this will give you some ideas that you can use in your own recordings. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. For more content, please subscribe, and to be notified, ring that bell. Please leave any comments or questions down below. If you want to further support the channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee. There's a link for that down below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and let's get right into it. The first piece we'll listen to was composed in 1892 by Francisco Tárrega, and it's called Capriccio Arabe. It's written for classical guitar. The way I've got this session set up is the top three tracks here are the mid-side configuration. This is equally spaced using two AKG 460s in cardioid, and then a room omni with AKG 414 omni. So the mid-side was done, as I mentioned in the intro, with two AKG 414s. This is the mid, and these two are the sides. I just duplicated the track and put the trim plugin and reversed the phase right here. We'll pick it up from here, which is where the main theme starts, and we'll listen to all the microphone perspectives together, and then we'll do a little breakdown. All right, not bad performance for a 19-year-old student. I like this because you get a lot of detail, it sounds intimate, but you also get a nice big picture. You hear part of the hall, the room that we were in, the recording studio, and it's when you combine all these perspectives together that you can hear all that. And let's just listen to the mid guitar, so we'll mute the sides. So this is just one AKG 414. So that's a nice warm tone, and let's add the sides and hear how that adds to the perspective and the timbre. What I like about this sound is that it's stereo, you get a wide sound, but you don't get a sense of the body of the guitar on one side and the fretboard on the other side, left and right. It's nice, and you can increase the width by turning up the sides. These bottom two tracks are the sides. Let's actually listen to those a little bit solo. Right, and you can hear that it's out of phase. If I were to make this into mono, the sound would disappear, right? Very quiet, because it's very out of phase. But when you combine that with the center, you're getting a really nice ambience. Now let me turn up the sides a little bit. And it sounds like you're a little bit further away. You're hearing more of the room, the reflections, and we can reduce that by bringing this down a little bit, the sides. And if I make this into mono, you hear just this single microphone. So it's got really good phase coherency. Now let's mute these and let's listen to the equal spaced. Now that's stereo, and because they weren't really far apart, you can hear stereo, but you're not getting an exaggerated body of the guitar coming out of one headphone or speaker and the fretboard out of the other. It's pretty nice. But you're not getting much of the room with this because it's fairly close to the guitar. Now, if I add the center from the mid side with the spaced, that's also a really nice perspective. It's almost like a sort of a close mic'd decatry. So that's the mono mic from the mid side, and that's the equal spaced. Now I'll add the sides from the mid side, and you can see it widens up the stereo field. I'll mute the sides and stop talking, you'll hear it. So the three of those perspectives together sounds really nice. And let's mute all of that. And I have a single AKG 414 out in the room, a little bit away from the guitar in omni mode. So you're getting the entire reflections of the room. Not a lot of detail. Now let's add the mid from the mid side, so just the mono mic, so we'll have two mono microphones. Now, if I bring up the room, you hear more of the room, right? And this sounds like an older recording. And just bring that down a little bit. Now we'll add the sides to that. I'll mute the omni. It's a subtle difference, but you can hear it. I brought the level up of the room mic. And finally, let's add our equal spaced. I think that makes for a really good sound when you add all the mics together. But to be honest, there are other combinations that I like as well. But using all of these together gives you the options when you're mixing to create the perspective you actually want. So that's one reason for having all these different mic perspectives. If I were to choose one, I think it would be just the mid side with the two AKG 414s, if I was forced to choose just one. Let's move on to the cello. This is the Prelude from Bach's Cello Suite No. 6. This was a graduate student, and she was working on this track, so not technically perfect, but very well played. It's a beautiful piece. So what we have here on the top track is the two AKG 414s in the Blumlein configuration, and then the AKG 460s close mic'd XY, so that's coincident, and then a 414 in cardioid overhead. Cello faces sort of at an angle up. So I just took that angle and I used a very large mic stand with a boom stand, and I got the microphone up about 8 or 9 feet, maybe 10 feet, because the studio had 20 feet ceilings. And I had it up and back away so that you were getting the sound as it was rising up from the cello directionally from the front part of the instrument. We'll listen to a mix of all 3 perspectives, and then we'll see what happens when we blend them together. Here we go. Okay, a really beautiful piece of music. Let's solo some of these tracks out. So let's listen to the Blumlein or the Blumlein, and we'll hear how it has a really nice natural sound, and you're getting an omnidirectional signal from this. The perspective that you get is that you're sitting in the room listening, more so than any other mic configuration out there. So it seems to be a little bit left heavy in my ear, so I'm going to pull this in just a little bit, see if I can get that more center. There we go. It's really a great sound. Let's see how the phase coherency is. We'll play it and we'll pop it into mono. Pretty good. All right, let's listen to the same bit with the 460s as an XY. Now, these are close mic'd, and you get a lot of detail out of that, but you don't get a very large stereo spread with the XY. And what I'm thinking now that I'm listening to this is thinking about making that the main sound and blending the other mics in to taste. So let's just take a listen to all 3 sounds again. I turned the Blumlein down a little bit, and mostly the XY now. Yeah, I actually think I like that better. Okay, let's listen to the overhead now. So this is cardioid, not omni, because I have it pointed at the cello, and it's another 414. Now, the other thing to realize here when you're listening to this doesn't sound as far away as the acoustic guitar room mic did, even though it was a good distance away, because the cello is a louder instrument than a nylon string guitar. You can get more volume projected out of a cello, especially in a piece like this, whereas the other piece that was being played was a little bit more sensitive, a little bit quieter. This is, fairly rocking, digging into with the bow onto the strings. So you're getting more projection. So even though the mic might be just as far away, it doesn't sound as far away. It sounds closer. All right, let's now play around with the XY and the overhead. So just the XY, and then you'll see I'll hit the solo button to add the overhead. Now that sounds good, but it's very, very center. You don't have much spread out at all in the headphones. Let's add our Blumlein back in all 3 mic perspectives. Yeah, so I think now I'm getting a really beautiful blend. They're all almost as I recorded them. Being inside a college in the recording studio that we have there and experimenting around with these techniques is a really excellent way to learn. There's no clock running, there's no added expense, and the musicians were happy to do this. They got a really nice recording at the end of the day. And even someone with as much experience as I do, being in a studio and recording live instruments, I learn a lot from doing this stuff. So hopefully this little presentation is helpful and you've learned something as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, etc., etc. I've been Pete Calandra. I'll catch you on the next one.